in terms of the rental arbitrage deals, then is there like what metric do you look at to say this one is worth it? Because I imagine there's
Mhm.
probably deals that are a pass that aren't worth your time.
Yeah.
Is there a net cash flow per month on average that you're looking for, or some other measure?
Yeah, getting into the buy and holds, we were looking for $3,000 a month in net cash flow.
Okay.
That's kind of the number that we were looking for, and we definitely hit it in 2022, and we didn't necessarily hit it last year. So we're hoping to come back, and get back to that range. So it fluctuates depending on the economy itself, and how we manage it. With the arbitrages, we were looking about the same. We were looking for about the same. We wanted about $3,000 a month per property. And in 2021 and 2022, we definitely hit those numbers consistently for 2 years. This past year, it was probably closer to like 1,500 a month per property across the portfolio of 5 that we managed. Some of them were still at 2 to 3,000, and some of them were closer to 500 to 1,000. Right. So we actually dropped those low performers. And really, what we realized is that one of those we'd had for 3 years, and it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's just there's not enough margin on a 2-bedroom that you're making a lot of extra over the rent prices. So we realized we needed to be in 3+ bedrooms, ideally 4+ bedrooms. So we were looking for newer ones that were a bit outside the city, a little bit farther out, that hopefully had an amenity, something. So one of them had a hot tub. That was great. Another one had a really nice backyard that we could deck out, and we put an outdoor movie theater out there, which is actually really simple to create, and it was just a great family-friendly thing to put in. So we were looking for 4+ bedrooms. We knew that we needed to be within a certain rent amount based on our underwriting to say we can't pay more than this much for a 4-bedroom or a 5-bedroom in this neighborhood. That's how we were doing negotiations, and then we would reach out to multiple homeowners looking to see who was open to it.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was curious about as well. So were you doing all this in Nashville as well, or was that local? And then how were you finding the homeowners to reach out to?
Yeah, local in San Diego.
Okay.
We were so my business partner and I, we've always bought properties buy and hold separate. And the point of the business was to create passive income that would replace the W-2 income and then allow us to continue investing personally. So it is a management company. We like to keep that separate from an asset holding company. We just like to keep those two things separate. So we just focus on management with this one. And we really wanted to find something in San Diego, but we couldn't afford to buy properties out here. It's crazy. You can't buy 5 properties out here, but we can leverage 5 of somebody else's properties. When we got started, we said, hey, we want to jump into this. Maybe people will be interested, maybe not. And we said, okay, this is the buy box we're looking for. Let's start making some calls. And within a week, way faster than we thought, we got the first 3 within a week.
Wow.
So we were just looking on Zillow. You're just looking for people that are looking for long-term renters. And ideally, you can even see if they've listed it themselves. You can see their direct phone number. You can reach out to them. And we were basically just saying, hey, this is Matt with Stay Classy Homes. And we our business that we rent places long-term. And then we re-rent them to vacationers and travelers that are coming into town for work and vacation, things like that. And we wanted to see if you're open to a potential partnership where we sign a long-term lease and then we pay on time every single month. We keep it clean. We take care of everything. Let me know what you think. And you get a lot of no's, but you also get a lot of, okay, that's kind of interesting. You get some people that say, oh, is that Airbnb? Yeah, I'm not really interested in that. Thanks though. But very quickly we got 3 people that were open to it. We met with them, we created a relationship with them, and we signed leases in our own names. So we leveraged our own credit and our own names to get started. Now we don't need to do that. But to get started, you do whatever you can. And then from there, you earn the right to not have to use your personal name or personal credit.
Yeah. And you said you were signing longer leases. Were they multiple years or 1-year leases?
When we got started, we just did 1-year leases, maybe with the option to renew for another year. But all of those properties we still had, or we could continue to have them if we wanted to. We just signed another 3-year lease on top of the 3 1-year leases that we already had with one of those properties. So we really try to be the best tenants that the owners have ever had. And then it's a no-brainer for them to renew with us. And then we have negotiating power to say, hey, they say, okay, we want to raise the rent. And we say, okay, let's sign a 3-year at that rent so that you can't keep raising it year over year. And then we have predictability on cash flow.
Yeah. And how much money did it require you to bring to the table to furnish the properties?
When we got started, we were doing everything ourselves, right?
Yeah.
My wife was doing the design. It's probably 10,000 is what we were getting up
Wow.
and running with on the 2-bedroom, and maybe 15,000 on the 3-bedroom. And we were doing all that work ourselves. And it wasn't the nicest furniture, but it was all new. So we wanted all new stuff. And it looked great when we first got them set up. It was a really fun time. Bloody knuckles from all the little Allen wrenches.
Yeah.
You're just doing everything yourself, right? That was the first thing we were able to hire out. But once we started going, and now that we've been doing this long enough, the newer properties, the 4 and 5 bedrooms, we probably put 25,000 each into those to furnish them properly with a lot of fun things and amenities and colorful designs. That even buying things like Nintendo Switches, like what are you doing to stand out from the crowd? So you can start easier. You can start with less amount, but you do have to pay first month's rent. You do have to pay security deposit in most cases. So that's an upfront cost, furniture and design. I would say it's probably like between 25 to 35,000 to get started with those bigger properties. And you could probably do it for less if you are able to find some secondhand furniture that looks really good from Marketplace.
Got it. Okay. And were you guys just capitalizing this yourselves, or were you getting a loan for?
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
Yep. When we first started, I think we each put 30,000 in to get started, start that business. And that was the initial capital that it took to get the 3 first properties up and running. And then from there, everything grew from that.
Yeah.
The cash flow from those 3 created, allowed us to then get the next ones. And then, so everything from there, we haven't put anything more in since that time to keep things going, or hardly any at all.
That's
so
awesome.
It just kind of grew organically from there.
Yeah, and that's a great testament to keeping your job as you're getting started as well. A lot of people, I think, will want to just pull the trigger and jump into a new business. But man, if you can cash flow the startup and get that flywheel going, then you've got cash flow coming in that can that will build on itself, and you can continue to reinvest in the business. So that's such a great point there. We talked a little bit previously when we had our conversation before about how you manage the day-to-day with, is it 13 or 12 properties that you have right now total? Yeah,
we manage about 30, but
30,
between my partner and I, we own 13 of those, so about half of them.
Got it.
And I think, when you start to scale it out, right? When we were buying our own and we were starting to arbitrage, we learned there's so much you learn along the way of operating these and making sure that the guest has a great experience, and what are different things we can do to be proactive as opposed to reactive. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's so many lessons to be learned in that, where we said, okay, we need to make sure we're operating our properties at the best level possible for our own personal investments. And then that bled over into our arbitrages, and then bled over into managing for other people, because they saw what we were doing as well, and they saw the success that we were having. Our pricing strategies are different than I think what a lot of people would do. We're going in, we're re-editing photos, doing modifications, reshooting photos, doing consulting work. So it's a lot of things that we learned by doing buy and hold ourselves as investors first, that we're able to take in and help our clients be successful as well. But there's no doubt that we were working W-2s. My partner had more free time than I did. I was super busy with the W-2. He was running most of the day-to-day operations. He was handling all the late night calls and guest messages. And, it can burn you out pretty quickly if you don't have systems, because we were just really reactive. We were really reactive. So I think once you start figuring out, how can I get more proactive? And we went to the STR Wealth Conference, actually. I don't know. Were you there this week, Kirby?
No, I haven't made it to that one.
I was just there for like one day, and then I had to fly back for a presentation in LA. But it was a great conference. Mike Sjogren and Bill Faith, they put it on, and just really genuine guys. And it was really small and intimate when the first time, and now it's getting bigger, which is great. But that was really, we were walking around and meeting people, and we were still working W-2s, and we were like, hey, we got this little side gig. And we realized that our side gig was bigger than most people's main gig
Yeah.
who had already left the job, and they were, they had already left the W-2 and they were managing properties for others. And we were like, wow, we need to take this thing seriously and actually start to treat it like a real business. So actually we talked after that and said, hey, we need to systematize this. Let's treat it like a business. Let's put a date in place to quit the W-2s. So we really started taking things seriously after that conference and started hiring VAs, which was just a huge relief for us. And it has totally changed our business and our outlook on the business. There was a learning curve to that. How do you train people? How do you coach people? How do you create a culture? But that's amazing skills to learn in general. And we were able to do it with a team of VAs that was really just happy to be working with us. And we're so grateful for that group that we have. So when we're talking about operations and scaling, there's really two things. You have automations, which is software automations. What can you do to automate as the regular kind of repeatable stuff so that you can just focus on the differences, right? And make sure that you're proactive on the things that you need to be. So kind of automate the regular stuff and then focus on the higher level stuff. And then hiring. And that was where the VAs came in. So happy to talk through either one of those if you want to go software automations or if you want to go VAs.
Yeah.
What's
I think
more
people
interesting to you?
are probably interested in both, but let's talk VAs first, and then we'll go into software automation because, I'm curious how you assembled the team. People always ask, like, what do you use, foreign VAs or U.S. based? How much do you pay them? All that stuff. So if you can kind of just talk through how your team is assembled, that'd be great.
Yeah, so all of our VAs are in the Philippines. And the reason why that's the case is that Airbnb has had a massive call center in the Philippines. I think they still do. So they have a lot of talent that they've created in the Philippines. Just a very hospitable people, very, very extremely nice, speak English really well, have a high comprehension of English, and it's written and spoken, and just genuinely excited to work for U.S. based companies, right? So there's just an excitement there both ways. But a lot of companies like ours are pulling employees directly from Airbnb, these case managers and things like that. But when we first started, I just posted on onlinejobs.ph. I got dozens and dozens of resumes. And we were just looking to hire based on a dollar figure, whatever, $500 or $1,000 a month. That was the dollar figure we were looking for. And there was no shortage of people that were interested in that were looking for work for that. We were looking for part-time help, just trying to figure these things out. And we got some people in. We didn't have any systems in place. We didn't have anything to train them with. So we learned really quickly, hey, we need to have our systems together in order to actually train somebody so they can be successful in this environment. So we went through a couple that, they were like, hey, you guys don't have your shit together. So we had to come back around. And we got a Loom subscription. We started doing the screen records. I think Loom is an amazing training tool. You can just do whatever you're doing in your day to day. You record the screen. It records you. You just speak over it and you say, here's how I run the business. And you can just do little, 5-minute clips of that. And there's your training platform. So it's not that difficult to get that up and running. I think the big breakthrough for us, though, happened when we realized that we needed to start hiring people that knew more about the business than we did. That I can't emphasize enough how valuable that is. Obviously, you're probably going to be paying more for that type of skill, but that's when our life changed. When we were looking for a team lead, and we found somebody who taught me in the interview. She taught me how to run my business better. I was interviewing her and I was firing questions at her. I'm like, I love this. How long can this interview go? Because I'm learning so much from you. She managed, she was the team lead for Brisbane in Australia, and they had 65 or, 120 properties or something like that. And we were at like 20 or 15. So I was like, well, how do you manage, maintenance at scale? How do you manage cleaners at scale? And she had all the answers. So I said, okay, that is the hire that we need to make. she's going to be the one that then sets the strategy. She's going to be the one that then hires the team. She's going to be the one that executes on whatever we need to execute on, and she's going to bring that forward. So that was a huge turning point for us when we hired people that knew more than we did. Now she's bringing in her family members, her friends, and vetting them out and hiring them in and training them up all on her own,
Wow.
sets the schedule. She said, we need Slack. We said, okay, great. Never use Slack. Teach me how to use it. Now we're using Slack every day. Monday.com, we're getting that one up and running more and more, which is basically a project management process type tool. They're doing that work, right? We say, here's the next step. You guys learn it and you set it up and get it running and use it to the best of your ability. So we no longer have to handhold them because we hired people that knew what they were doing.